Hello and welcome to The Big Fight. Is love overrated? That's what many people feel. They say what's love doesn't really matter. It's all about lust anyway. And the way the marketing departments show love, the way the Valentine cards department show love, and the way the film industry shows love, it's not really like that. Now, is that true, or is that just being too cynical? That's the question we are going to be taking a look at on The Big Fight. Let me start by welcoming all our guests on The Big Fight. I'm going to start with you, Harish Bijoor, who's a brand expert who feels that the brand of love itself is a bit overrated. Somebody who needs very little introduction, Sonakshi Sinha, who's of course the star of Lutera. So it's great to have you. And Ranveer, whom you can notice we are separating on the set.
See how he can't handle me getting the attention, so he has to do something.
Well, that's what we're doing in this particular order. So you can have a and we've got Chinki Sinha between the both of you, the assistant editor of Open Magazine. So make sure, because Lutera does talk a lot about love even at a distance. So we're making sure we keep separated on the show. Ranveer, it's absolutely great to have you with us as well. Is love overrated? We're going to get your views on this. Feel free to jump in. Malvika Rajkotia, divorce lawyer who often deals, lawyer in general, but does a lot of divorce cases. So what happens when love starts to go sour? And I'm sure a lot of people will be coming and telling you, well, I thought it was love, actually it wasn't. So we get your sense. And it's a great pleasure to have with us Prasad Bidappa, image consultant, and a lot of other things. Prasad, I don't even know where to start. Fantastic having all of you with us.
Thank you.
Why don't I start with you, Ranveer? Lutera, love, violence, flowers, all of that sort of stuff. Is it overrated in real life?
No, not at all. Not at all. How can you even say that? It's love. What are we without love? Soulless creatures.
It's not just lust.
Well, lust has a lot to do with it. I think in many cases it's the starting point. You see a person, you find them attractive, you have a physiological reaction to laying your eyes on them, and that's, I think, a starting point. But it grows, and it grows into much more. It grows into an all-consuming feeling.
In some cases, not in all cases.
Well, it depends from individual to individual, but for us as human beings, I think that's a process that is common to many.
Okay, let me get a dissenting view. Chinki, overrated?
Yeah, I think it's definitely overrated. I think it's frustration, attraction. You know, it's just one of those things where you crave for something you cannot get. And also love makes a hero out of all of us, because I think we should all remember it's about the I. So if I fall in love, I'm doing either charity to you or I'm being a hero in love. So basically it's not about the other person at all. So I think it's just about yourself. Very selfish, very self-centered sort of act.
So
I cannot believe we share the same surname.
Yes, well, it happens. It happens. Okay, you gasped in complete horror when she said that. Why?
Yes. No, because, well, I believe I'm a romantic. I've seen a lot of beautiful love stories around me. I've seen my parents stick it out for 30 years. Well, at the end of the day, I believe somewhere today love does take a backseat because people's priorities are changing and stuff, but it's still there somewhere within, and I don't think it's a driving force. You can't lose that, and I believe that it's just about priorities today, but love is definitely still very.
She said it's
prevalent.
largely selfish. It's about yourself, not about the other person.
Why shouldn't it be? Why shouldn't it be? It's a good. It's like a, what do you call it? A pheromone. It's like a drug. It makes you feel, it gets you high. If it makes you feel good, why not indulge in it? I mean, it's the same for the other person who is in love with you as well, right? So I think it's okay to be.
If it makes you feel good, what's the harm in it? Well, Malvika, as I said, you deal with a lot of people whom it starts off by feeling good, but sometimes it stops.
Yeah, but then you're presuming that when we talk love, we are necessarily also talking marriage. The two are not necessarily related. I mean, there is all sorts of love. So I presume you're talking romantic love.
Yes and no. It's not necessarily talking about the breakup part could happen even if you're not married. So there's love, which is wonderful, and then when the love goes sour, or if the love is actually not real love, it's something else,
right.
It can be
and then you're talking romantic love, which is the surges, the initial surges which an attraction makes you feel, but then as Ranveer says, it grows into something else. And in family law, you have a great family law writer called Ekelar, who describes a marriage once it's been tested with the children, with jobs, etc., and calls it friendship plus, because of what you've shared and left behind you. I don't think it's overrated. I think it's essential. I think it's good for the soul. But also I think that because there are so many stresses on a marriage today, perhaps one of the greatest stress is the expectation that you must continuously feel that high degree of love. And you don't want to acknowledge the shades when perhaps it settles into something as friendship plus, because then it is more sedate, it's more, it's comfortable, but perhaps it lacks the excitement.
Okay.
I'd like to add some, also maybe in cases like that where it does get sour or disappears, maybe it wasn't there in the first place. A lot of women today get married to a man who they believe would be a good husband, would be a good father to their children. The motive to get married is not necessarily love. In a lot of cases, asked around people, of course, there's staff at the house, that the ladies who come to work in the house, and you ask them that they talk about their husbands and you know, sticking with them, and probably even domestic assault or whatever, like minor cases. But you ask them, then why did you get married? So because he's a good husband and he's a good father to my child. So that is also.
So in those cases, of course, it may not have been love to start with, which is the point that you're making.
But
that's, if I may just finish that, because that's because the way the construct of a marriage, as far as the legal system goes, is that it's a socio-economic institution.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love is a bonus. You get married because of it, or it may come up subsequently. But it does feature certainly, because we need to love.
But the other point which you were making, which I want to also throw to everyone else, is that initial high and that feeling of, oh, I have to be on high, which is really, Ranveer, what the Hindi film industry and, you know, Lutera and others, they're largely talking about that slight feeling of high when the, you know, the violins are playing in the rooms. That may not necessarily be love.
The greatest high.
Yeah.
Sorry?
The greatest high.
Yeah. So is that something which love itself should at some point does morph away from that feeling of daily high? And you shouldn't necessarily expect roses and violence every day?
Just the magnitude of the feeling, if you felt it once, is so immense that no matter what it evolves into, friendship plus, as you say, it may evolve into a host of other things. But it will always be there, I feel.